Business on Purpose podcast.
You've heard the old cliche, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Hey, it's Scott Beebe with the Business on Purpose podcast. Time to be liberated from the chaos of working in your business. And this little snippet podcast is here to give you real insight, real time, from the trenches with things that I see day to day when I have the privilege of being able to sit and coach with heroic small business owners. Well, this one was more about what I got to experience firsthand yesterday. Yesterday was a tough day in my world. We're making some shifts within our business and having to communicate that with clients, and it's always tough. And the reason it's tough is not because we were making negative-based decisions, because we're making progressive decisions. We're making decisions to move forward that are going to be able to impact more heroic small business owners. See, when you've got a mission and you've got a set of core values and you've got a vision for your business, mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision, you have to make decisions around those that are directly impacted by those. And sometimes that puts you in a tough spot. And sometimes the tough spots aren't the tough spots like you think they are, like moral failure or things like that. It's just we've got to continue to build. We've got to continue to grow. And that sometimes it doesn't get in the way of human relationship, but it does require an adjustment, a pivot of human relationship. And we all like, things pretty much constant. So when change comes in, it can be really, really challenging. I had the opportunity to sit down with 7 sophomore and 1 junior high school students last night at our house on Tuesday night. We call it Food and Fire. Of course, it was like 80-something degrees last night, so the fire was a little hot. But Food and Fire, and what we do is we have these young men come into our home, and for about an hour and a half, they go out and play football down the street, and then they come back and they build a fire, and then usually me or some other guy in our community will come over and just share with them a takeaway, a message, a devotion of some sort. And so yesterday, or 2 days ago, I was on my exercise. I got this verse that was drilled into my head. It's Proverbs 25, verse 4. Proverbs 25, verse 4. I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have it right in front of me. But essentially it says, the dross comes to the top when the fire's lit to it. And when the dross comes to the top, the smith can now make a vessel. In other words, the metal gets heated up. And when that metal gets heated up, the junk comes to the top. And when the junk comes to the top, the blacksmith can take the junk out and make something that is really powerful. Can forge together something that's going to be very useful for other people. And so as we were sitting around the fire last night and we were going over this, I actually had each young man read that verse out loud. So it got read 8 times because I read it as well. And in those 8 times, you could just start to kind of see. And while we were doing that, I actually had a fire poker in the fire, had been sitting there for about an hour. And I pulled it out, it was red hot, and I beat it against the side of our little fire bowl that we've got. And you could see junk come out of it. Now, I don't know if it was dirt or if it was impure metal in the actual poker. I don't know what it was. But the illustration played out perfect. For them to be able to see that when it gets heated up, to go ahead and knock that dross off, that junk off, so that it's more pure than before. So here's a couple of takeaways. Number 1, the heat is going to come, and there's negative heat, there's positive heat. Positive heat are things like competitions, things like challenging each other, things like holding each other accountable. Those are positive heat elements. Negative heat elements, and I asked them, what are some of the negative heat elements? And this was their response: drugs, ladies, those sorts of things. And ladies, don't be offended. It was ladies in the wrong sense of ladies, not in the right sense of ladies. And so they laid all of that stuff out as the negative heat that comes. But here is our final takeaway. When the heat comes, don't waste the heat. Because when the heat comes, it's going to burn. And when that heat comes and it burns, don't waste the heat by just cooling back down without shaking off, beating off, or scooping off the dross. The heat's going to come to you as a heroic small business owner. The heat's going to come to your key leaders. Some of you may be key leaders. When that heat comes, Look for the dross. Look for the junk. Look for the stuff that needs to come off the top so it creates and makes you more pure than you were before. Because when you're more pure than you were before, you're now able to be forged into something more powerful and more strong than you've ever been. And that's what we need. So the heat's going to come today. I hope you will be ready to shake the dross. MyBusinessOnPurpose.com. We'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.